just done a month. I know.
Oh my God, you're also traveling.
I know. And then now he just called me.
Yeah.
I know. But it was so like I hadn't spoken, and then I was like, I'm actually literally just about to see you then. He's like, what the
Yeah. But it's so typical that you guys like go to all the European places.
Yes.
Because you think, oh, it's so close.
It's so close.
And, like we go to Portugal like once in 5 years or something when we go on vacation. So. Oh, it's
So
so
he's
fun.
doing a big trip, and then he's coming back.
Yeah.
One thing you should notice, I guess compared to Amsterdam also, is that the canal is very bendy. It's also very busy, I will explain why. But it's also very bendy because it's basically a river. And notice the lower areas, where mostly there are now, there's still the cellars, are now related to mostly sitting outside and being able to drink and get something to eat. But I will talk a bit about what they were used to be before. Slowly getting less busy. So it's a little bit of a weird order. I'm first going to talk a little bit about what we are doing, and then I will show you where we are going, which normally I do in the beginning. But I figure there's too much nice imagery going on in the beginning to do that. Also, the Google view is a little bit off, but I'm not going to even try to fix it. Wondering how far we are off. But you can still see the lower areas. Of course, this is not really in the inner city anymore, so they are more like normal homes. And but you can still see the lower areas are of the same construction within the canal. Okay, now we kind of made it out of this part. I'm recording this for the second time because the system crashed again. It's mostly the helicopter view that crashes, and then I have to start over again because they're kind of linked to each other. So in this case I have to decide if I will fix the timing later on, and then somebody will remark that my voice is ahead or delayed. I can probably fix that, and maybe this time I should. So what is this rambling all about? Well, we are slowly going outside of the city. So today we are going to bike on a very special day in a way. It's Saturday 6th of April. And why is it a special day? Because it's the first really warm day of the year. So warm, I define in this case 24 degrees and Celsius. And that kind of means in the Netherlands that everybody sort of feels forced to go outside because they only predicted one warm day this week. So everybody kind of on a Saturday goes out and does his thing. And in many ways that is nice to go on this bike ride next to the Vecht, because the Vecht is kind of a place where people with boats, bicycles, motorbikes, horses tend to I would say flock around, but follow as part of their Saturday. So it's a good day to do it. So let me show you a little bit in pictures what we are going to do. So we started in the center of Utrecht, in the harbour. You don't think about it a lot, but of course, or the canal there is a harbour, and the lower areas that we have seen were basically where they would unload the ships into the cellars. And the cellars would go all the way up to the homes and then will be transported up, which is different with the canals in Amsterdam. I guess in Utrecht, where they were a little bit smarter, they figured, hey, let's make cellars, then we can sit, quite easy to get stuff out of the ships and under the road, take them up through the cellar. So Utrecht is a harbour city. It sounds a little bit weird because in the middle of the Netherlands, but if I show you the first picture, it becomes quite clear what I mean with that. You can see we are going to follow this river, which is the Vecht, and it goes all the way from Utrecht over here, all the way up this way to a place called Muiden. Not IJmuiden, which is over here, and that basically is the new current waterway to Amsterdam, so here. But before you could also go from Muiden, which is not IJmuiden but Muiden, all the way here to Utrecht. And the boats are normally coming in this way. Of course, when this was still a sea, because there's now a dike over here, ships would come in both to Amsterdam and to Utrecht this way. I hope that makes sense. And we can also see a current still harbour, the entrance to Rotterdam, how that sort of works. And all the rivers would go that way and supply Germany. So that's kind of what we are going to do. We're going to ride, I would say, 3/4 of this river route. So let's go quickly to the next picture. So on this picture you can see the same sort of route, and at the top you see the Zuiderzee. It was still called the Zuiderzee. This is an old picture, but you can see that the river was already here. A river does what a river does. It goes all the way, lots of bends, and then makes it to Utrecht. I'm not going to show many pictures today, but I always have to put in a few. And this is kind of the official starting point of the what they call the Vecht, the Rode Brug. And you can see we are starting to follow. At some points it still looks like a canal, because over the centuries, even starting in the 13th century, they would have straightened some parts to make it easier for ships to come in, and other parts are still bendy. But once we get out of the city, you see that we're already following a nice bicycle path. It will look more like a river, if that makes sense. So today we are going to basically bike like this. We're starting at A in Amsterdam, in Utrecht, and follow the river all the way up to about, I would say, 50%, and then circle around one of the dikes that cut one of the lakes, and go back. So a little bit of bigger view. This is what we are going to bicycle. So we have different villages over here, Maarsen and Breukelen, and we basically kind of going to end here, which is Loenen aan de Vecht, and then circle around over here. And this area, keep that in mind, because in the next picture you can see that's basically this part. So we're going to cycle here while the rest of the river goes like this, and then slowly goes to Weesp and ends up in Muiden that we talked about, and there it will go to sea. So that's kind of all we are going to show in pictures today. And hopefully I don't have to start it again. And we can just sit and enjoy the ride. So this is clearly a part which has been straightened. So later on we will also see the canal that we have visited quite a few times, which is kind of next to this. We will hit it up later in the video. And you can see how close they are together. So this is the old waterway coming into the city, and the new waterway through the city is the Amsterdam-Rijn Canal, which is now the supply route. And this was, of course, way older. The Romans 2000 years ago basically also used this river and different places around that the river, including Utrecht, to put a forge there that grew into Utrecht. So it's kind of a nice ride for today. Or 6th of April, I'm recording this like a few days later. I noticed that sometimes in the middle lower corner you see a little bit of a light effect, and later at the end of the video you see my phone popping up. Because yeah, my phone is over there. Next time we'll put it a little bit slower, but the sun was actually shining on my screen and back into the lens. You can also, in the bigger pictures, all the living boats, we will see them in different places during this ride, that are all over the place. But what we also notice is lots of people out and about. Sometimes tourists, sometimes just locals, kids, on this nice and sunny day. OV fiets or rental bikes. So in the comments sometimes people ask me what would you visit if you are in Utrecht, and I didn't know or never really know what to answer, and now I do know. If you're in Utrecht, going on renting a boat or being on a boat, because you can also get these tour boats, and they will take you up to the river for like 3 hours or something for 30 euros, maybe if you really have an expensive one with some food, 80 euros. Yeah, it's quite a nice ride to be on. One of course, a bicycle ride is also nice, but if you by boat, you will see a little bit more, and I'm probably going to do that in the next few months myself again, just to be able to take some nice pictures. It looks like I was going quite fast next to the kid, but keep in mind the camera really distorts it, and I was being quite careful. So we are still kind of in the city area, but you don't even feel it that much, right? But if you look at the map, you can sort of see these newer buildings around us. Also some running event was going on, people fishing, so I think they're having music here. And that might be a typical Dutch thing, but the first day that the weatherman says it's going to be warm on Saturday, everybody feels the need to run out. So we are leaving Utrecht and we are on a typical red asphalt bicycle path, which is open to cars. But the red asphalt clearly signals that this is a shared path, so people running, walking and bicycling are on the path, and cars should be careful. So why is this so nice to be on a boat? And we can already see some nicer homes that we'll see some nicer ones later along the route. Is of course we see Saturday, first warm day, a lot of speed bicycles. Is that in the golden age, so like Utrecht is a harbour place, but Amsterdam of course also, especially in the 16th century, or 17th century, sorry, you would all the traders which were ruling large parts of the world and doing all kinds of trades, both good trades and bad trades, I guess. But in this golden age, Amsterdam was not really a nice city to be in, if that makes sense. It did not look as nice and didn't smell as nice as it might do today. If you were a trader and you had a lot of money because you were in this trade, you basically built a second home along this river and stay there. So their second home on the Vecht would be mostly owned by traders and shipping magnates would have built their homes over here, and they are almost like small castles. There are not too many left of that age. There still are, but not that many. But even then, you'll notice that some of the homes are quite nice. So if you go by boat over this river, it's kind of a nice ride. So we are sneaking up on our first little place, and you can already see, if I make it big, you can't see it from here, but there's a castle there. So we are entering the small, I wouldn't call it a village, because it's not part of the city itself, Zuylen, in this case Oud-Zuilen. Again, kind of a nice place to just drink a coffee, go to the castle. Picturesque. I'm not sure what you would call it in English, but rustic, I guess, a rustic old place, which, like I said, if you're by boat, it's a good way. Also a nice restaurant here. We've been here before, and I've shown this before, but it's a longer route. Some of these places that we are going to pass, you might kind of recognize by name. So, because these traders were going all over the world, and I guess like human nature, you take names with you. So if you're from New York, but I'm pretty sure you knew this already, but you know the places. So my parents also had a second home in a place we're going to pass called Breukelen, and that's the origin of the name Brooklyn. Is basically related from that. Their second home was not as big. We are not a shipping magnet, so it was quite a small home, a second home. You might already recognize some of these places we've been before. We visited the windmills, which you might see on your left side coming up. But this is such a typical, I wouldn't say typical day, but a fun day, because it's kind of the first day that everybody goes out and does the first warm day of the year thing. So lots of people on the water, on the bikes, on motorcycles, horses. We will run in all types of things. Of course, if you ride this by bicycle, it's also a really nice sort of trip. Of course, the river would move over the centuries, and yeah, that's also when last week we made a video about one of the dikes, the leg dike. It's kind of also attached to this further along. But it also, the river would move, and so sometimes they would straighten it so that it could not move anymore for practical reasons. But it also means there's a lot of bends in there, and we sort of see that happening during this trip. And sometimes they would turn it into like small harbors, like we can see here. So not a big long story there today. In total I bicycled about 3 hours that day. I'm not sure how much I'm going to put online. I think this video will be long, maybe 1.5 hours, maybe 2 hours. Let's see. I think I forgot to talk about it, so let me talk about it now. Hopefully you're still here. But if you turn on the subtitles on the Bodo, you will find where we are and some hint about the location and the elevation. If you go to AFAR, you will find more technical information like the satellite information, so that you can use Google Maps or Google Apple Maps to figure out where we are and look around, which is very powerful tool. Like the helicopter view, which is still nice to look at now. Later on it will be a little bit vague and I will probably turn it off because we don't have any 3D information. So here you see an example that the river has been forced in a sideway, or maybe it was something in the old days and they kind of rebuild it. But you can see that sometimes the water really goes into different areas, and that's kind of a Dutch thing to make sideways and build stuff next to it. So also let me again make it big. You can see on the top, and I will keep it big because we are going to a street anyway. You can see that we are bicycling near the canal now. So here you see the lek and the canal come together. So on top is the Amsterdam-Rijn Canal, which is now the modern canal, which basically took over the role of this river. And we can actually see, and that's why I will keep it big, the connection between the two of them. That's why the bridge is there. And let me unpause it, but you see it's very difficult to see when I'm in this view. But you can see, we see the sideway of the water from the river Vecht to the Amsterdam-Rijn Canal. So the Amsterdam-Rijn Canal is now the main canal between Utrecht and Amsterdam. It's fairly large. You can see, again, make it quickly bigger, it's about 4 times the size of the river. And it is the busiest canal in the world. It's about 50,000 ships pass it each year. And to bring stuff to Germany and back. But today, especially on the Vecht, which will be more clear later on, it's all about pleasure boats. And more recreational. Of course, in the old days it was not. And they would use boats that will be dragged by horses or even men, or on propulsion systems to move about. I like that little windmill. So a good example of the first day, I ran into about 22 horses, I think, I counted them, 14 and they are, I'm not sure, I think they are, you can rent them, and maybe they are just practicing for the first day, I'm not sure, or some other reason why they are all together. But I thought it was fun. The last horse, they were sort of catching up. I sort of like the Google views that you can see all kinds of shapes of how they put down the homes or how things are connected. But you can see a lot of people, I wouldn't say for the first day out, but combined the first day out on their pleasure boats, enjoying the river. And upcoming we will make it bigger. You can already see on the top a sort of a bend and then the sort of a harbour area of the old days and the typical homes there. I don't have too much to talk about today. But I think the pictures talk for themselves. Well, we are following the river from village to village. And slowly but surely, of course, near to the rivers and the canals there are more homes. There's not like the whole country looks like this, such a high build-up of churches, homes and stuff. But in general, you could argue that slowly this whole area is becoming one big city. And you already see this happening near the main cities like Utrecht, that slowly all the outside villages are being gobbled up. But that means that if you're bicycling, you see continuous sort of, groups of homes or areas of homes, but you do see areas which are clearly older, so you see the churches and the bridges and hints of the past. But 500 meters later you can be quite a modern sort of area again. And here you can see an example of, again, near the embankment, you see that it's been straightened in this part. We see the first hints of bigger homes on the sides. Now I'm going to do something illegal. I kind of got rooted here, but this is not a bicycle path, so I'm kind of not following the rules until two people sort of reminded me. I kind of already knew, but I didn't plan this, but once I was here, I started walking a bit and then bicycling a bit again and walking a bit. And the second time somebody told me that this is not a bicycle path, I asked him how to get off the path and did so. Because I was kind of wondering how to get off the path. You can also see that the camera on the bicycle it's very well dampened, but if I'm walking you can see clearly that I'm moving about. I guess I'm going to stand still. I'm not sure why, but I forgot. I can put it on the big view. I can see in one of these homes on the other side of the river. I'm taking my jacket off. But you can see these are nice sort of homes that have been built by mostly trading people. These days, not here, but especially later on, you see homes which are mostly owned by rich and famous people. Television people and stuff like that. The traders of the day, I guess. I could remove these parts, but I won't. And people ask me, well, they don't ask me, but you might wonder why I'm not cutting parts out. Because it's quite difficult to get the satellite information and the audio and the video and the Google stuff all synced. So if I start also cutting parts out of the video, it becomes even harder to keep everything in line. Especially with the subtitles. This boat is of course a little bit more expensive. This pole that you see was part of the way that they would guide the ships and pull the ships in the old days. They put it there as a sort of a reminder. See, most people won't say anything. Maybe give you a little bit of a dirty look. But this guy was telling me, so I gave an answer. But I was already thinking about how to get off this walking path. So I already had my answer ready for the next one who would talk to me. But the good news for you that we could make a recording of this part. Of course, also by standing still, I kind of hint that I hope that people understand that I know that I'm not supposed to be here. And on the top you can see one of these, I can also see it in reality now, homes on the side, which is quite big. Nice garden area. I'm not sure what it's being used for today these days. Didn't look it up. But I think over here the second person to talk to me, and I already prepared because I'm going to ask him how do I get back to the bicycle path? Because I actually didn't know. So it was a good excuse. And then we will go get ourselves back to the bicycle path.
Weet u wanneer waar het fietspad weer op kan? Oh, ik kan hier vandaan weer het op? Oké. Ik weet, ik heb een heel stuk gelopen ook. Hey, dus hier kan ik naartoe en dan naar het fietspad? Top, dank je.
Pet the dog a little bit and then. Somehow find our way back to the bicycle path. But again, on the big map you can see on the top these big homes next to the water. We'll find them more later on. So we made it past the point of last time, because last time the Google application already maps already crashed. It didn't do it this time. But also pretty soon the map information is kind of running out, because we gotta get further along away from the city, and then Google satellite doesn't have enough pictures to create the 3D views. It will be great if in, let's say, 5 or 10 years that will be even more complete, because I really love these helicopter views. But I might turn it off because we don't see anything useful anymore. So an example of, I think, a home that's not even old. It's probably finished more now, but it looks quite new. But maybe some famous person is redoing this land, creating his own private nice area. So we are going back to the water, because the area of walking is kind of past. So soon we will see the water pop up again. And we are next to the Vecht. Once again. Over a little bridge where the water is being split again and taken from the river into the farmlands. You can very clearly see that happening here. You see that. So we are now leaving Maarsen, which is a village. I'm not sure if I stayed there before, but the village we were in before. Sorry. So the funny thing about this river, so normally, and that's kind of also normal, the water of course would be coming from the mountains of the rest of Europe and flow into the delta, which is basically the Netherlands, and the water would flow from there into the sea, so in the older sea, the Zuiderzee and the North Sea. Because one of them is now a lake, I hope this makes sense, and the way that we are controlling the water, the funny part is that the water is actually going the other direction in this case. So normally this river, the water will flow to Utrecht and not from Utrecht. So if you remember the picture before, you would expect it would flow from Utrecht into the sea, but it's basically going the other direction from, so not salty water because it's coming from a lake now, because it's been closed up by the polders, but normally the water would go in the other direction. So only if it's very rainy and lots of snow, melted water comes through the rivers, then it will reverse direction. Of course, there's a lot of sluices and locks now in different areas, so they can control basically what it does more. And here you can see also these bigger areas that they create. Sometimes old riverbed, sometimes man-made, to give the water more space to buffer the different water levels. I even notice a lot of Land Rovers and Range Rovers out, so I guess even the old timers, you saw another few old timers pop up. So that's what I said is a typical sort of first warm day event. If you're from another country, you might go like, what the hell is he talking about? But if you're Dutch, I think you will almost recognize the day. Again, a motorcycle will see quite a few of them. Way more than you would normally see. So we're now entering Breukelen. Like I said, my parents used to have a small home here. So we go on the boat, or we had small boats, not like massively expensive ones. But you would go, could go onto the river on different lake parts. It would be quite enjoyable. So the same as in the old days, but just different. Again, Breukelen, you already sounds like it is because of all the traders were here, which was go on the boats in the 17th century. They ended up going all over the world. So New York, New Amsterdam. So Breukelen, this village where we are now at, basically is why Breukelen became Brooklyn, and basically where the name Brooklyn came from. Like Haarlem is also one of the other areas. You see the quality of the Google Maps going down. It's going down quite quickly, so at some point I will just turn it off. If it is one of the first videos you're watching, we see a lot of bicycles, of course, but also a lot of the speed bikes, which is out of proportion because of it's like the warm, nice day, but also because it's Saturday and Sunday. And then there are, I would say in this area, but I guess in most areas in the Netherlands, there are places where they would like to ride, and this is one of them. It's actually so, I wouldn't say bad, but just to give you a hint, on several places at the beginning and the end of this route, they actually give a warning with signs. Hey, if you're on a speed bike, please behave normally as a normal person, because other people are also biking here. So I'm going to turn off the Google Maps because I don't think it will add value. You can see what I mean with that the quality is going down quite quickly. If it becomes better again, I might turn it on again. So welcome back again. So I just stopped the Google Maps part, and then the system crashed again. Not very stable. I decided to only do a voiceover. I'm not sure how much you will notice of this because we already turned off the Google Maps, but I'm also recording this a few days later, so I might have forgotten some parts that I already talked about. So we are missing the Google Maps, which was not displaying anyway. We at some point will also lose the subtitles information. Sorry about that, because the second mistake that I kind of made is that the video is very long. I think it's about 2.5 hours total of video that I recorded, and the software that I wrote to do some of these things are not really working that well past about 70 minutes. So I'll keep that in mind next time if I make a recording, that I sort of do it in a different way. But we will continue this ride, and I figured especially the first 45 minutes, 50 minutes were so nice that I don't want to just stop it in a random point. So hope you enjoyed the second part of the video, which is kind of more just video and talking, which is the two main parts, I guess. So we are still on our route to Breukelen, where we are being passed by a handicap little car. I think later on we are following in for quite a while, or we already did it. But we are getting up to the little bridge in Breukelen where I used to have to go to the right to go to my parents' second home, which is kind of behind this area. It's also probably I wouldn't say the busiest, but the place where in Breukelen lots of cars, especially in summertime, would get stuck. Nice home on the other side. On both sides, by the way. Some of them are still being used as homes, others are just being reused for other things. So I will just re-record this audio and then overlay it on the video again. This would happen quite a lot, that cars get stuck here. Luckily, if you're on a motorcycle or on a bike, you can sort of get around it, and that's what we are doing. But you see, there's no traffic lights or any road signs that much too, but things will resolve itself. It's kind of the attitude on these low speed sort of crossings. Back to this bicycle path. Again, notice that some parts are red, some parts are grey. It really there are guidelines, and most areas and municipalities and villages will follow them, but not always. This could have been just a totally red one. It's kind of funny, I didn't even notice this when we were recording it. Now, one side is just not maintained, I guess, because there we go with the red again. In a way, this is also a good video that you can see that I'm actually not going that fast, right? I'm not saying that I'm going like 15 or 16 kilometers an hour. So I am going about 25, I guess. But you can see how much faster racing bikes are, and of course they're all wearing helmets. So from Breukelen we will go probably next up will be, I'm not sure actually. I think at some point we will end up at Loenen, and then we will make this sort of circle over the water. And like I said, we bike about 50% of the route to the Muiden. I bicycled more, so I could have gone to Muiden if I wanted to, because we did the circle. Maybe I should have. I have no deep opinions. But we have to keep in mind that I think most people will enjoy an hour of video. I'm not sure how many people enjoy 3 hours of video in a continuous one, so maybe this is fine. Because I wanted to show this Vecht and the homes next to it on this kind of a special day, let's say the first hot day of the year. Some blossom trees. But I always find fun on a road like this. You get a feeling that you're going kind of straight, but if you look back at the map, you're almost going reverse at some point because it's so bendy. Oh, that makes sense. I'm actually wondering how much longer. Maybe I can figure that out later. How much longer the Vecht route is compared to the Amsterdam Canal if you take the first part of Utrecht out of the city. So how much extra distance do you have to go by ship or by bicycle if you're next to it, compared a straight line versus all the kinks in the river. So where are we at? Oh, we are leaving Breukelen. Again, good examples of these homes, but you also see some water areas again here, and definitely newer homes, but they try to keep them in the same style. It's interesting to try to Google this to see how many people actually own a boat in the Netherlands. That's an interesting one. So we kind of know that there's about 1.2 cars per household in the Netherlands, about 1.3 bicycle per person. So household person, keep it in mind, difference, but still quite a lot. And I'm actually wondering how many boats there are in the Netherlands. I think about 500,000. So it's kind of I would say special. So if you how many households? So about 8 million households. So boat usage is, I guess in this area it's quite a lot, but there's quite a few areas where it's not. So having not sure when they call a boat, but I'm assuming that is quite low. So 1 in 15 or something. And indeed I'm following the handicap car, which theoretically can go 45, but he or she clearly is not doing that. Nieuwe Sluis was the next one. I could have followed or even overtake that handicap car. I decided not to do that. But of course other bicycles are doing it. I think we just passed an ambulance motorbike, which you see quite a lot. In the beginning of the video, I was not sure if you noticed and didn't want to talk about it, but we see an ambulance and somebody being taken out of one of the living boats. Something has happened. So you can kind of see how on these types of roads then also ambulances can work. But we do see quite a lot of mostly electric motorbikes being used as ambulances in shopping malls and small. This is kind of a small road and staying behind them. He or she was quite careful. And these small cars need to follow now I'm passing because it was going so slow. These need to follow the scooter moped rules. So they do have to get a license, a little license plate, and they can go a maximum of 45 kilometers an hour. Not sure what these cost. But I've talked about this before. That's kind of what I like about electrification for mobility, is that we see so many different let's say, versions of things we already know, right? So from a step to a bicycle to motorbikes to handicap solutions. There's so much creativity at the moment, and especially because many of the main parts of an electric motor vehicle are the same and can be reused in the different classes. Of course, if you want to build a car, it will be different than the motor on a bicycle, but there is quite a lot of overlap in this middle area. And even a bike is quite powerful if you compare, if you're into cars, especially fast cars. It's all about weight to the power ratio, right? So how much you have. So let's say a really fast sports car might have like 800 or 900. Let's say for easy compare, 850 Newton meters would be quite a torquey car, very torquey. The bicycle I am now on is 85 Newton meters. So what does that tell you? That tells you that it's quite quick and powerful if you keep in mind that the bicycle is only weighing 30 kilograms. And this is quite a heavy bike. So if you use two of these motors on, let's say, a handicap vehicle, then it can be quite a good solution, especially if you limit the speed to 45 kilometers maximum. So now we made it to Lunen on the Vecht, which is the highest point in this circle I'm going to make. So at some point, and we are stopping at one of the bridges is open. So we see a lot of pleasure boats coming from the left side and going to pass. I think this is just a bridge. I don't think there's a sluice or lock here, but not sure. Oh, that's the first time that we see that I'm taking a drink of water. I'm using a very nice sort of bottles on the side of my bicycle, which have a magnetic sort of locking mechanism, which is really cool. They're called a vidlock, and they are magnetic, but they click in. So it's really easy to put them on, because the magnets, almost like your phone, will find automatically the correct position, but it does lock in, so you have to twist it to get it out again. It's a very pleasant system, not cheapest, but and they have bottles. They have also little bags that you can use. So I have one little bag on one side with some food, and on the other side a water bottle or coffee bottle. You can also get clips for your backpack, so you can actually reuse the system in different areas. So quite a nice, not an ad or something, but it's kind of a nice system. Get it called a vidlock. Now that we are standing still, you can see that it was quite windy. Even on a nice day, so okay, bridge going down, and now we are going to all try as quickly as possible to get over the little bridge. Because I think there are about 15-20 people behind me, about 15-20 people in front of me. I'm pretty sure the other side also. So imagine that it would be cars, right? We are already talking about, I would say, 50 people. Again, I don't want to sound too negative about cars. I don't have no deep opinion. I'm just saying practically how much space they would take. Because you can already see. Of course, people on the speed bikes are kind of irritated because their lap time is gone. Yeah, also cars waiting. I guess it's typical, right? The car is just sort of standing there and think, oh, I'll wait for a few 2 minutes. Because then all the bicycles are away. I don't think I've been here before, even though my parents had a home not far back. But I can't remember being in Loenen on the Vecht. Not sure how big it is. Oh, this was interesting sort of work in progress, so we had to do a loop. We need to go straight, and I was like, oh no, I have to take a totally different route. But it turned out that I could, together with all the other bicycles, do a loop-the-loop. Continue our way. Maybe just me, but it seems like a nice job, just sort of standing there all day. But it's probably very tiresome. And luckily we could continue our trip next to the Vecht. That car isn't droll because there was a blockage at the end. Interesting. Sometimes I only notice things on video, of course. I also have to check out one of the places that I used to work is Hilversum. So I used to work for the television stations. And they are all in something called Hilversum, which is kind of in the middle of Utrecht and Amsterdam. Oh, there's a fun move. He's going to want to pass me. So I found that if I take this route on a bicycle, see, Van move's always going fast. And you can again see that my speed is quite normal on this e-bike. But this might also be a nice way to get to Hilversum by bicycle. It's a bit of a detour, but I'm wondering how much you will actually lose in time. Because as you notice, it's if you want to, it's always full speed on a bicycle. That's also one of the nice things about these rides, that you sometimes come to conclusions where you go like, interesting sort of shape of the windows in the roof. So it's now the next Saturday. I recorded this exactly a week ago. Well, I recorded this a week ago, but this audio recording has been done in 2 pieces, as I already explained. You don't see me do that a lot because it mostly is not in the video, but I tend to give signals or just wave and just be polite to also car drivers and other people on bicycles. I'm not really in a hurry, and my gut feeling is always if I'm nice to people, they might be nicer in the next interaction with bicycles. I'm not saying that this is needed in the Netherlands, but why wouldn't I, right? If somebody lets me pass or I let them pass, why wouldn't I give them a wave? Makes me feel good, makes them feel good. And we made it out of Loenen. So there's also advantage in a road like this. I'm not saying this is a motorway. It's not. But you can drive here with your car. You might lose, I don't know, a minute, although you have a really nice ride. But given that the speeds are so low here, I'm also guessing that this asphalt will be easier to maintain and will last longer than on a normal road. So there's a kind of an interesting sort of cost versus speed benefit, I guess. So because of the bendy roads, it's really difficult to sort of see, but I'm going to stop at some point. And maybe I will shut up and cut that part out. I think that's what I'm going to do. So, because we are now at the top part, and I think I'm going to stop somewhere here. Yeah, I think it was here. So talk to you when we continue. Beep. Okay, we are riding again. So if I've cut this part out, then you know what happened. I'm also guessing that we are now losing the tracking information from the bike, because one of the mistakes that I made, like I said, I'm learning. I figured it was smart to turn off the bicycle and boot it up again, so that the GPS information will be in two parts and sort of in sync with the video. But the software that I wrote to be able to read out the GPS and then give you all the street information, I actually didn't make it that you can sort of recombine these parts, and I don't want to do that. So next time I won't be turning off my bike even if I stop the video. It would have made it easier in some ways, but also harder in other ways, because I can't continue to log the GPS information. But like I said, the first hour of this video is kind of okay in all the information. And I think the pictures of the second part are good enough that you might enjoy it. Again, lots of woonboos on this side and willows on this side. I'm probably not the only person, but in some ways I will be quite fascinated to live in a woonboot. It is, not sure why, sort of a weird attraction. Of course, my parents' second home was near the water, on the water. So you had kind of the same view. It was not a boat, but... I wonder what I would have done if they kept it home. Would I have kept it? I don't know. So we are now really at the top of the part where we have a little bit of a combination with a highway again, before we go back over the water. Actually, we are going to ride over a small dike, which is used to split the water in multiple parts. In this case, they did it, I guess, didn't check. But I think one of the parts is being used for drinking water gathering. So they diked it off to just keep it, I guess, cleaner, or not sure what other reasons are there for doing that. There's probably practical reasons. Again, it was a lovely ride. But even when I was going for the ride, I was happy that I went. So after about 10 minutes of bicycling, I was like, hey, this was a good idea, because it was the first warm day. But it was also, I didn't somehow feel in doing it when I started. And also, like I said, the editing and the bad luck I've had with creating this video was not the best. Which is, to be fair, in general, making these videos is, because of all the features that we build in, still quite a lot of work, but not silly amounts of work. So I'm not trying to complain in that way. It's just sometimes you get a little bit of bad luck. But the first part is so nice. And the weird thing is, I figured I already made a recording into this area. And I already followed the Vecht, but I couldn't find it anymore. So I guess maybe I recorded and lost it, or maybe I just did part of this bicycle ride as preparation. Do notice how much louder the cars are again, right? And of course, when we were figuring that we all drive electric cars, we kind of assumed that the loudness will go away. But as you probably know, most of the sound for cars are coming from the tires. I guess that's why we need flying cars. The idea of flying cars is of course a very bad idea, but hoovering cars might not be a bad idea. It will be nicer on the surface. You still will use roads, I guess, but I'm assuming that the sound will be way lower. Although, if they really have to hoover on air, that's probably also going to make noise. But I think we are bending downwards again from here. So we kind of left the Vecht. So if that was your interest, I don't think we are. Well, we are going to find it back later on, of course. But first we are on these internal lakes areas. So the path we are going to take is so we are now next to a water area called the Wijde Blik. Then there's some of the places water areas are called next to the places that we are on. So Loosdrechtse Plassen will be the bigger one that we are kind of will have on one of our sites pretty soon. And the other site, I was correct, I'm just checking, it's Waterleidingplas, so water pipe plus, which I'm guessing a signal that they are using it for water gaining. So we are not going to pass it, but as part of this lake area was also where my parents had this little home. En de Loodstrechtse plassen. Dus geen dijk to be more precise. So on the first part we still have quite a lot of cars, but slowly they will become less. Even the windsurfers are out. When I was a kid, let's say in the early 80s, it was quite a popular thing to go windsurfing, so there will probably be like hundreds of them. But now you see, sometimes you still see them, but not that many. Not sure why I was checking my watch all the time. I didn't count the bicycles, but I wouldn't be shocked if we have more speed bicycles than normal bicycles, which will be a unicum in my bicycle videos. Quite a few speed bikers on this lovely Saturday. I guess passing these cars shows you how the camera kind of works, and what I mean with that, my gut feeling is that I probably was not that close to the cars as it looks out in the camera. I wouldn't say that we have spider sense for this, but we kind of have in avoiding doors opening. So I was guessing I was at least 50-60 centimeters from the car, but it looks like I'm almost touching it. Also in this last part of the video, you can see I think I got a little bit tired, or for whatever reason the camera went down a bit, maybe because I was bending down on the steering wheel a bit more, or something else happened, because the phone is popping into the picture from time to time. So in most of my rides I don't use a route planner. I kind of know where I'm going. So if I'm using a route planner, then I forget that I have to be careful that I put it in such a way that you don't see it in the picture like you're seeing now. But you can see I have it quite upright, so what I will do is I will bend it down a little bit. It will also resolve if you are really watching this Queeckhovenplein. Never heard of it. So a small village. Looks nice. But I will bend down the phone a bit so that also it will not, the sun is not able to shine into my lens, which was the second problem that we had. Well, there are some homes for sale if you want. So this is a 50 kilometer road. It will probably stay 50 kilometers in the future. Although when you get nearer to the cities, there's quite a big pressure to reduce the number of 50 kilometer roads, because even the difference between 30 kilometers and 50 kilometers, they find that injuries are way higher on 50 kilometer roads. Because in reality nobody goes 50, so they go 70, and you know how it is. So we have about 26 kilometers, 26 minutes left on this recording. And we are going to go back into the the same route that we started out in. So we will be next to the Vecht again. But I figured it was best to just let the camera run until the end. I think that the third battery, when I had to change, I won't be putting that one up. Again, you always learn something. So I now kind of learned where the limitations are of the length of the video that I want to make. For practical reasons. It looks so dangerous if we are looking in this video, even to me, but trust me, at no moment in time did I feel uncomfortable here. I can imagine that you would feel uncomfortable if you're not used to it. So in this case I do decide to go to the bicycle path, but this kind of proof that it was the first hot day, because you can see there's a lot of water, standing water still here. And it didn't come off the water, it was definitely from rain the day before. I stopped. Why did I stop? I have no idea. These scootmobiles are still being used, but like I said, historically they were quite expensive, and of course they're limited in production. And you see more and more alternatives, and the prices are coming down because they can be built again using e-bike parts. And if you have not heard this before, there's now more e-bikes being sold than normal bicycles in the Netherlands, and we buy a lot of bicycles. It also means that the parts, especially from the big brands like Bosch and Bafang, which is probably the two biggest suppliers, they're so plentiful that you can build these scoot-like mobiles in much cheaper ways. So it's very nice to see that they're getting more and more options. To be fair, the best one I've seen, although it was kind of an exception back then, was on a cruise boat. I was on a cruise boat with my dad. This was in 2016, that would be my guess. And there was a couple which were using on the cruise boat also these little electric bikes, or bike, I should say bike. And it was interestingly small. It could go in the elevator, and it's almost like a tube sort of based solution. What was nice about it that it had a hook on the back of it, and you could hook on 2 extra carts. So they only had one connected to it, so they will always be as a couple. Sometimes the female was riding, and sometimes the male was riding. And it looked like a small little train. And I talked to them, and they said, you can actually buy up to 2 extra carts, I guess. So it would almost look like a little train. And it was specially built by a German company. Again, it was already like 5 or 6 years ago, so I can totally imagine that how that would have been evolved. But you see these kind of nice sort of solutions. They even offered me to take a ride on it, but I was like, no, I don't want to somehow destroy your important way to get around a cruise ship. Of course, you always find handicapped people on cruise ships, and I always admire them. And most of the time I talk to them. And on the last one, I also met a few which were always outside, also where I was walking. I normally walk around the ship a lot. I ran into them quite often, but these were more traditional, with the joystick kind of ones. And you can totally imagine what the price would be of one of these compared to, I'm not saying all of them should be replaced, but you can kind of see where more options are quite interesting. So we are slowly circling over the plus. With water on both sides, difficult to see now, but I think this loop that I made is probably like, I don't know, 10 kilometers, and then we get back to kind of the start, not starting point, but the Vecht, the riverside. Actually hear a plane. Again, proof that not everybody, some people do wear a helmet even on a normal bike or semi-normal bike. I do admit that you see it more and more, but I guess it also makes sense, because one of the bigger groups where helmets are becoming a thing is on e-bikes for older people, and especially on a day like this you see that more and more. Tourists also, if they hire a bike, are more likely to put a helmet on. I don't want to sound like I have a really deep opinion on it. Way more motorcycles than we normally see. So now it's more clear that we have this and we are cutting the water on both sides. And you do notice the difference with it. If it's more than 50 kilometers, it's very unusual or kind of not done that you don't have a special bicycle path. And do notice if there are no cars, how quiet it becomes again. As you can see on the water, it was quite windy, which was nice. Again, helmet. So my bicycle started to make warnings again, good warnings, that it wants to have maintenance. So I got the bike about 1.5 years ago, and we are now up to 13,000 kilometers. Always impressed with people walking. Well, in areas like this, because you know it's a long walk to wherever they are going. We talked about it in the last video when we were talking about there we have our fat bikes. And they're being trailed by racing bikes. Who's going to win? We talked about this in the last video about on the leg dyke, that it's hard to imagine the Netherlands before bicycles, but also, of course, you had horses, I guess, but it would have not been easy for especially younger people to get around. And the bicycle, and especially now the e-bike, are such an interesting, I would almost call it a range extender, if that makes sense. Because if you have cars, that's one thing, and I'm not against cars, and you have public transport, I guess that's a solution. But one of the nice things about bicycles and about e-bikes now is that they really extend how quickly you can go somewhere in your own neighborhood, in, let's say, the 5 kilometer, 10 kilometer range. So in a way, I'm really happy that I didn't live in the 16th or the 17th century. Because some parts would be fun, but I'm guessing most parts would not be that much fun. Including walking everywhere. The bike is an interesting, the bicycle is an interesting invention if you think about it. But I don't have to convince you, because you've been, if you're still with me, you've been watching 1.5 hours of bicycle video. And this is probably not your first one. We are getting near the end. We still have about 12 minutes left. And if I remember correctly, that this part of the recording we finished near the Vecht again. Also kind of makes sense if I look at the surroundings. We are the flat tire. I'm not sure. We are entering the other side of the lake again. And we can finally finish this recording. Save it. Upload it to YouTube. Wait for... I'm not sure if we talked about it before, but these files are so big that it takes YouTube about somewhere between 5 hours and 10 hours to make all the formats ready and encode it. And then I have to add the subtitle parts and the thumbnails, and only then I can put it online. Clearly new asphalt being laid down. I could still smell the asphalt, and it was said that they were not working, but you can see also the car road being prepared to be resurfaced. And I think we are getting to the same point with the loop, but now from the other side. Yeah, see, there's the guy. But we are now sort of doing it from this side. $100 and a totally different feeling of the bicycle path. We are in this village again. This was quite high for a recliner bike. And we are leaving Lunen again. So past this village 2 times. And by now I guess I was getting tired or something else happened. The camera sort of aimed down a little bit more. But I guess the good effect is that you can see how much the bike is actually moving, and how much the spring system takes up the bumps, so that the camera gets a nice sort of stable image. Because you can see simply if you look at the top of my phone that I am indeed cycling. I'm not. I am pedaling. Yes, that's also kind of good to see. But you can also see that it's quite stable in that every time you see a bump, you can clearly see that there is a bump, but it's not very bumpy here. It's a nice surface. But definitely I will kind of place the phone in a different orientation next time, so we don't have this coming into the picture. Yeah, standing in the middle of the road. Yeah. I guess in a way it's the same as with a sports car. It's kind of fun to ride on roads which are a little bit sort of weaving their way through the landscape. I think I'm speeding up, although we're probably still going 25 kilometers an hour, but maybe I'm going a little bit faster. And again, it looks like I'm passing the cars really close by, but that's mostly the camera. I also noticed I'm not sure if you can pick it up, but now the camera is sort of swooping down. That's why we see my mobile. It also feels that the speed is going up because you see more of the road. It's the same if you're in a car or on a bicycle. If you look down, then the road is going really fast, and if you look far away, then the road you seem to go slower. So that's partly why it looks like I'm picking up speed. So we made it back to the Vecht, and we now see, in a way, the homes on the other side, on this side a little bit better. We will still ride here for about 5 minutes, and then the recording is over. I guess this camera, my phone in the picture does give you kind of more of a feeling that how much movement and pedaling I'm doing. And also how good the cameras these days. And again, I'm now using quite a simple system, not the cheapest camera, but about $450. On a neck mount. It's amazing how good the quality of the stabilization in the picture can be these days, in my view. Now this is a bit dark because I'm not correcting for the sun, because we're kind of aiming to the sun. And we made it to Breukelen again. So we did make it back quite a big part. Big truck, American truck. But you can kind of also see how much people trust the cars on the road, right? I'm not trying to compare to other countries, but you do notice that there's a big amount of interaction going on between people on all the different vehicles to interact. Maybe more even here than is in the city, because didn't think about it before, but it's the end of the video. But we didn't see many people on their phones, which you would definitely see in the city. So on these types of roads and these activities, people are paying more attention, and you see this interaction more going, because I would argue in the inner city or in the cities, people are on their phones, even on bicycles, and you see more of, let's say, people not noticing things as a result than we have seen today. In my opinion. So using a phone on the bicycle was 90 euros. It now went up to 160 euros. So they're really trying to clamp down on it. And I think that's a good idea. Nice car. So believe it or not, but we finally made it to the last minute of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I think the Vecht is a very interesting place if you're here to bicycle, especially on a nice sunny day. It might look a little bit more scary with all the cars, but keep in mind that's mostly the camera. It's not that bad, although this might look, trust me on this, especially the first part. And this is also, like I said, a special day that everybody was coming out. So thank you for watching, and we are going to leave it when we are nearing Breukelen for the last 10 seconds. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.